Hello soulmates, it's Olabams Creations here, and in this tutorial I'll be showing you how to draft and sew this beautiful wrap flare skirt. It is beginner friendly, and if this is what you want to learn, join me as we go on this drafting journey together. Kindly subscribe to my channel if you have not done so. Click the notification bell so you'll be notified each time I drop a new video. For my old subscribers, thank you for standing by. Please like, share and comment. Today we'll be drafting a long wrap skirt. Here are some of the materials we'll be using. We have my tape rule, I have my material, I have my pattern scissors here. That's the scissors I use in cutting my pattern. I have my normal scissors. I'll be showing us how to cut on paper before we now apply the process to cutting on fabric. So let's see some of the basic calculations we need to make our cutting easy. My skirt length is 44. I added 2 inches to it for joining at the top and for folding the hem. So that makes my skirt length to become 46. I will subtract the band length of 2 inches from that 46 to give me 44. We need to know our waist circumference. In my own case, my waist circumference is 38. Since it's a wrap skirt, we need extra inches to be able to wrap the skirt. So to get the extra inches for the wrap, you can go about it in 2 ways. Either you multiply the waist circumference by 1.5. 38 in my own case times 1.5 will give me 57. The other way I can do it to find the extra inches I need for my wrap is to add half of my waist circumference to the original waist circumference. My waist circumference is 38. I will add half of 38 to it and I will still arrive at 57. Feel free to use your own measurement. Since this wrap skirt is a half circle, we need to calculate the radius. The waist circumference we are using here is 57. Remember, we will divide this 57 by 3.142, and when we do that, it will give us 18.1. So this 18.1 is our radius. We will add it to our skirt length that we calculated earlier to give us 62 inches. So when we are going to be cutting on the real fabric, we will measure 62 inches twice, but in this case I'm making use of the paper. So assume that my paper, that's the length of the skirt I'm using. So I'm going to be measuring whatever length I have on my paper. You know, on the fabric, when I'm going to do my fabric, I will measure 62 inches twice. So I've measured the length of my paper twice, and then I will fold it. After folding, I will now fold again. You can see I'm trying to straighten it up. Make sure you straighten your fabric up. I will now fold in a triangular form. Look at the way I'm going to do it. Can you see? Let me repeat what I've done again. That is my fabric folded into 2. Then I will fold it in a triangular form, and the folded side is facing me. So from the tip of that, I will measure whatever radius I have calculated. You know, when I'm doing it on the fabric, I'll measure that 62 inches twice, and then the first thing I'm going to do is to place my tape rule at the tip of that triangle, and then I will measure round. Can you see what I'm trying to do? In the case of this paper, I think I have 19.5. So the first thing I will do is to measure that 19.5 round the paper and put a mark there. Look at what I'm doing. I'll follow that same measurement and measure round. Once I've gotten my desired length round, I will now cut it out so that I can have lesser fabrics to work with. Look at me. I'm trying to join the dots together now. Then I'll use my paper scissors to cut out what I have. Can you see? Once you get that full length, you can just keep aside the remaining fabric. Then we now measure the radius. In my own case here, for the paper, I'm using a radius of 7 here. Remember, once we have cut out 62 on the fabric and we have cut out our flare, we will now measure 18 inches round before we now do our cutting. That's what I'm trying to cut out on the paper. My own radius on the paper, is 7. This is a mini representation of the larger fabric we are going to be using. So I'll cut out the radius. Came up a bit by like half inches just to cater for the joining allowance. So you will see how we will apply it on the fabric. Look at it. I've opened it out now, and that is our half circle skirt. And because the circumference is larger than the waist circumference, by the time we wrap it around the body, it will really go round. Look at it. That is how it will be. What we have done on the paper is the same thing we'll be doing on the fabric. The only difference is that the radius I'll be using on the fabric will be 18 inches, just like we have calculated before now, and I will be measuring 62 inches twice on the actual fabric. For this fabric, I have a total of 3 trousers here. So let me measure out 62 inches twice and see what I will have left. After measuring that 62 inches twice, I cut it out and look at the little stripe I have. I'm sorry, my camera is not capturing it well. I will fold my actual fabric just like I've explained, and that stripe is what I'm going to use for my band. That's 62 inches that I cut out twice. I'll fold it into 2 first, then I will fold in triangular form. Can you see what I am doing? I have folded it into triangular form. I will now measure that 62 inches round, just like I measured on the paper. And afterwards, I will cut it out. Make sure that the fabric is well arranged. Some of these fabrics, they can just be moving anyhow. So you make sure to arrange it. In fact, you can use pin to hold those fabrics down. So once you are done with the arrangement, just measure out 62 inches round. And in this case, I realized I cannot get up to 62 inches because the wideness of my fabric is 60 inches. So what I just did was to just cut 60 inches round to get my flared, and that is what I'm showing you. Afterwards, I'll now measure out the radius just like I have explained on the paper. Look at the leftover material after I've cut out the wrap skirt, and this is what I'm going to be joining with previous fabric left, and that's what I'm going to use for the band of the skirt. Originally my radius is supposed to be 18 inches, but since I got 60 inches instead of 62 inches, I want to do a little manipulation here so that my skirt will not be too short and I will still be able to fold a little at the hem. So instead of using 18 as my radius, I'm going to be using 17. So I'll measure 17 round for my radius. When I am cutting on the radius, I will not still cut exactly on the 17 inches mark. I went up by 0.5, which will serve as a sewing allowance to join to the band. After cutting, we will now measure round, and you will see that we will still get 57 inches that we wanted originally. Even if we got something smaller than that, it will not affect whatever we are doing. It will still be fine since it's a wrap. But honestly, measuring round, we still got 57 inches that we wanted. Look at it. As I measured round, I got 57 inches, which is quite fine. I'm sorry, the camera did not really do justice to it, but that was what I got. So for the sewing, all we just need to do is to add the band. We will fold the skirt at both of the open sides and at the hem. So let's head to the sewing machine so that we can do the sewing. I've been able to iron the skirt and see how beautiful it is. I've also gone ahead to bend the edges. I just sewed the edges, the two open sides. Here is our band. All I did was to measure 6 inches. While on fold, it gave me 3 inches. I also went ahead to use my iron to bend in 1/2 inch on both sides of the band. At the end of the day, after sewing, I will have 2.5 inches band height. For my band length, let me measure around what I have. I think I have a total of 105 inches here. It's not compulsory for you to have the same length as I do. What I did here with the band was to just find the center of the band. So I looked for the center of the band and I marked the center, and then I measured, it's 56, so that means I have 28 inches on either side. So I measured 28 inches from the center. Here is my 28 inches. Can you see? So from that 28 inches to the end, I closed it up and I did the same thing at the other side. So what I'm going to do now is from this center, look at the center that I've measured. So here is the center. Can you see? So I will equally mark the center of my skirt. I can sew it like the normal band, sew it round until I get to this point and then bring it out again. And the method I'm going to use is to just put this one in between. I'll use pin to hold the band and then I'll sew round. You can actually use any desired method to fix the band. If you want me to do a comprehensive tutorial on how to fix the band to this wrap skirt, just let me know in the comment section. And please don't forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. It's a way of encouraging me. Thank you for standing by till this moment.